Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we
Yes,
go.
sir. Yes, sir. How you doing
How
this
you
morning?
doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Early. You know what? I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure. Is the audio okay?
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure when you said 5:30. I wanted to make sure it was 5:30 is early for me, which is great because I'm up early anyway. But I want to make sure we had a Pacific time. And I said, my gosh, it was 5:30 Eastern time. I'm 3 hours late. But notwithstanding, I'm all good. Hey, one
That
other
yeah.
point I thought was interesting. When I called you a couple days or texted you a couple days earlier, you were on the golf course. I'm
Yes,
a
sir.
golf nut. I'm
Okay.
an average golfer, but I love golf.
Okay, I'm the same way. I love golf, but I have a terrible shot. I slice it
Yeah.
so bad.
Well, good. Uh, Glad to be here. Is the lighting okay?
You look great. You sound great.
All right, good.
Leo,
I'm
thank you
all
so
ready.
much for coming on. Yeah, we'll just start. Thank you so much for coming on. Leo, I've been doing a lot of research on you, and what is Leo 2.0? I think I
Well,
know, but for those that don't know, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Leo 2.0 is an accusation that I have somehow changed. For 30 years, I've always been considered a liberal,
Right.
a person on the left. And I disagree with that. I've always called myself the fair minded civil rights attorney.
Yes.
And there were two events that this year occurred when Joe Biden made, in my opinion, a very racial offensive comment stating that if you're not black, if you vote Republican, you ain't black.
Yes.
That made no sense to me. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. That to me insulted African American, insulted me. I'm the same person for the last 30 years. People
Yes.
characterize me as being a left wing Democrat. I think the Democratic Party left me. I honestly believe that I'm the same person, but the issues to me is a question of fairness. One, I don't agree with defunding the police. I think all people believe that we need the police, and I also believe that all people should be judged based on their own individual merit. All black people don't vote the same way, and
Right.
that's what made me become apparently 2.0.
Yeah, the media kind of tells you that that's who black people vote for. And if I was black, that would just make me so angry. A, I don't like being told what to think. And B, that just makes me feel like I'm dumb. Like I can't figure out things for my own. And so I just need to be told what to do. How does that kind of make you feel? That would just
It,
infuriate me.
it drives me crazy because there's been a mindset that uh, blacks have to vote as a Democrat.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I honestly believe in democratic principles, equality and law and order. But the
Right.
Democrats have gone so extreme, and Democratic leadership has a mindset that we must all vote the same way. And if we don't vote the same way, we sold out. No
Right.
one can challenge my credibility. No one can challenge what I've done for the last 30 years. And so I just honestly believe that the best candidate happens to be a Republican. And therefore, I'm going to vote that way.
Okay. So why are you voting for Trump? Just because of how bad the Democrats are, or are there things about Trump that you genuinely like?
Good question. First of all, I cannot vote for the Democrats. The Democrats are horrible. They're too extreme. They're letting
Yes.
cities burn. But if you can set aside Donald Trump's personality, Donald Trump has a mindset that he wants to accomplish things. For African Americans, if I'm going to just look at African Americans, he has funded historical black colleges, unlike his predecessor. He has worked on lowering the unemployment rate among all people. Unemployment rate was extremely low before the pandemic.
Yes.
And Donald Trump has to get a tremendous amount of credit for that. He created and passed the people an opportunity who were incarcerated a second chance. Joe Biden rated African Americans with the crime bill. So Donald Trump has done a lot, and I can get past his personality and say the man has accomplished a lot.
Yeah. That was interesting. Did you watch the Democratic convention last night at all?
I watched bits and pieces. I was on Fox News. I was on Hannity last night, and I
I saw.
watched portions of it, and
Okay.
so I did see it.
I the main message it was not really what they were about. It was more about how Donald Trump is dividing the nation. And do you think, if you could think who's dividing the nation more, who do you kind of see as that, who's dividing it the most, do you think?
Look, the Democratic playbook is they have no playbook except one issue. We want you to vote for us because we think you hate Donald Trump. They have no issues on economics, on national security, on education, on taxes. They don't have a single policy. Their entitled goal is if you don't like Trump, vote for us. And I'll tell you right now, Joe Biden is a nice guy, but he's not a popular guy.
Right.
Kamala Harris is unlikable. Donald Trump's supporters are loyal to the max. They
Yes.
love that guy. They love him. And that's the difference. And I think there's a large number of individuals who don't want to identify who they're voting for because it might alienate their friends. But I think there's a very large silent majority who's going to vote for Donald Trump.
I 100% agree. I think there's more people that are starting just to come to me and telling me they're voting for Trump they're voting Republican for the first time. And I've never heard that. I saw that on the convention last night. They had like 4 or 5 people that were like, I was Republican my whole life. This is the first time I'm voting for Democrat. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's the complete opposite.
And I think you're 100% correct. I think you're 100% correct. Look, no one on this planet ever thought that Leo Terrell would vote Republican. Ever. Ever. And it's happening this year.
Yeah. My grandfather said that he's been watching you for a long time, and he said, Leo seems a lot happier than he ever has before. Is that because he's finally voting for Trump, or?
I know what I've heard that your grandpa must be in an echo chamber. I've heard that 1,000 times. I'm happier. I'm smiling more. I just feel liberated because you know what?
Yeah.
It's hard to take a policy that you don't believe in. And again, I think about the issue of fairness. And fairness is very, very important to me. And the Democrats aren't fair right now. They're not fair.
Right. So you've been a civil rights attorney for a long time in California. So obviously you've had run-ins with Kamala. So what are your thoughts on her? I couldn't believe he picked her, for one, just based on their back and forth when they had the debate, and just her track record, and just how unpopular she was, and how fake she felt the whole time. But what is your thoughts on her just as a leader?
You just summarized it. Kamala Harris is only interested in Kamala Harris. She does not put country first. She does not put her own party first. She is first. And she gives lawyers a bad name because she'll say anything to win. She was a horrible, horrible attorney general. She incarcerated African Americans who were given a release sentence from the federal government, but she kept them in prison. She kept them in prison for cheap labor. She defied federal court orders. She went after pot smokers and let big drug dealers and big criminals off. She didn't go after them. She only did things that advantage her. She let a cop killer off by not giving him the death penalty, even though her own colleague, Dianne Feinstein, said, hey, this guy deserves a death penalty. Kamala Harris was a disciple of Willie Brown, and all she does, and in my opinion, the only thing she's correct about is Joe Biden is a racist. Other than that, she's not correct on anything.
Yeah, she said that, and she definitely inferred it like in a major way, and he still picked her. Why do you think he picked her?
Oh, that's easy. That's so easy. 3 reasons. One, he put his foot in his mouth when he said, vote for me unless you're not black. That was stupid. Yeah. Number 2, he said, basically all black people think alike. That was another idiotic statement. And then 100 so-called black leaders, they're not my black leaders. They wrote this letter and they say, you better pick the black person. You better pick a black person or you're going to lose. So this guy, but based on his own gas and this intimidation, was forced to pick a black female. And I think all the candidates he picked, she was the worst. But he picked her and he boxed himself in by saying, I'm going to pick a female. So he was forced, in my opinion, to pick a black female. And he picked a horrible choice.
Oh, man. Do you think there would have been a better candidate for him to pick? Because I was looking at some of the people he was looking at, besides Susan Rice. I don't like her either, but do you think that would have been the better?
Oh, I'll tell you right now, he should not have been boxed in the race card.
Right.
About 8 months ago, before I left the Democratic Party, I said Biden's going to get the nomination, and his best choice was Amy Klobuchar. But that because of the Middle West battleground
Right.
states. But
Right.
with the with the George Floyd situation in Minnesota, that blew up. He couldn't pick a white female candidate. So Amy
Right.
Klobuchar would have been the best, would have been a safe choice.
Right. I heard a lot of people thinking it was maybe even Michelle Obama was going to be a choice for him, which
No.
I didn't see that coming whatsoever. So you're a civil rights attorney, and what do you see kind of the future for your career as if, Democrats get elected, and then there's all these, people are getting off on crimes right now for nothing because of COVID. What are your thoughts on the future of your profession? And
Well,
maybe
you
also the
know what?
ACLU too.
I've already decided that I'm going to commit myself to education because
Okay.
in the Black community, I'll tell you right now, the key to breaking the poverty cycle is a good education. The
Yes.
teacher unions have locked up the Democratic Party. The teacher unions in these big Democratic cities, they don't want school choice.
Yes.
They don't want vouchers. They don't want charter schools. Why? Because they want to paralyze people of color in this horrible educational system. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm on your show right now because I have a good high school degree, a bachelor's degree, a
Yes.
master's degree, a law degree. I think I just lost you.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
good. And I have, and education is the key to break the poverty cycle.
Yes.
That, to me, is the new civil rights issue facing America.
Wow. Yeah, I work at a charter school right now,
Yes.
and I'm right outside of Denver public school system, and the teachers union has so much power there.
Yes.
And I do not want to be a part of that whatsoever. They always try to get me to come out and protest with them and pay my dues, pay my fees. And as somebody who is independent thinker, doesn't want to be a part of that. So
I agree with you. I was a former school teacher. I still have my teaching license. I was a teacher in LA Unified School District, so I can relate to you.
man, what is, especially in California, what is the school system like there? I just curious about that.
I'll tell you right now, the public school system, excuse my terminology, sucks.
Yeah,
It's
no, you're fine.
horrible.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, the unions in California are using the pandemic to stay at home, do remote learning, get a big fat government paycheck, and just really focus on themselves and not the quality of the education for those kids. It's outrageous. It's a crime. But that's how much influence money and the unions have with the Democratic Party.
That's crazy. Yeah,
It's
I
horrible.
got into teaching because I love teaching kids, not because of the paycheck, not because of
Yes.
like the social status or anything like that. I feel like there's so many teachers who don't want to work, don't want to teach, and they're more willing to protest than actually be with the kids. So
I share the same. I got into teaching. I love working with kids. The only reason why I left teaching, and I still have my license, I could go
yeah,
back and teach tomorrow. It's just that I wanted to help kids, but as a lawyer, I could help more people.
yeah,
And so that's why I decided to become a lawyer. But I love teaching. I hate the administration and all the politics of teaching, but working with the kids, I love.
that's so great. What are you staying in California? Because I know a lot of people are leaving California. Are you going to stay there just based on what's going on politically and just direction financially and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I'll tell you right now, the answer to your question is yes. I mean, unless something unforeseeable happens, it's yes, because I was born and raised here. I'm sort of a loner, believe it or not.
Okay.
You may think I'm out 24/7. After I do my work, I come straight home. I draw
Okay.
a demarcation line between work and home. I don't bring my work home.
That's
And
good.
I'm very, very happy just being really a lone ranger.
That's awesome. So my channel is I try to bring unbiased news to people as much as possible. I just do the little facts and I get it for people every day because I just feel like there's a niche for that. So what your experience of working in Fox News and everywhere else, what has been your experience with that? Is it a good experience, positive experience, or has it kind of been frustrating? I would just love to know, just from my personal views of just being on
Well,
a news network.
I think being on a news network, I think the key here is why I'm accepting the request and the invitation. I do it because I feel like I can provide information.
Okay.
I can't tell you what other motives are of other people who go on the news, but when I go on Fox or any channel, I feel like I have an obligation to give facts. And most
Yeah.
people, even those who disagree with me, like your grandfather in the beginning, I would never go there just to push an agenda. If you disagree with me, I would hear people say, well, I don't agree with you. I understand your arguments, but I don't agree with them. And at
Yes.
least I wanted to give facts. I didn't have a hidden agenda. I don't have a motive. No one's putting me up there like a puppet. So I've always was always expressing myself, but it's a privilege and it's an honor to have the opportunity to speak on a national cable or national TV network.
Yeah. Speaking of that, a lot of my listeners were asking, get Leo to speak at the National Republican Convention. They all want you to speak. Are you going to be doing that?
I'll tell you right now, it's funny. your your listeners are the same people who follow me on Twitter because they say, "Hey, RNC, you got to go to the RNC." You know what? Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I have not been asked. If someone asked, I would do it. But right
Yeah.
now, I'm just accepting opportunities to speak because I was
Yes.
so frustrated with the Democratic Party. I was so angry with what they were saying, and that party is gone. Right now,
Yeah.
it's lost. It has to be totally restructured.
Yes. Are you hoping it gets restructured so you can go back to the Democratic Party, or are you just done with it?
Yeah, good question. I don't know what's happening right now. I'm a man on an island. I'm
Yes.
voting Republican this year. I don't know what's going to happen after November. I can't go back to the current Democratic Party as it currently is organized. So I don't know. I don't know where I'll go after November 3rd. Right now, I'm committed to the Republicans. Last Friday, I wore the Magna hat
I know. I saw that.
on Hannity. I wore another Leo 2.0 hat last night. So I'm committed. I'm gonna when I get my early ballot, I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna put it on screen and show the president. And I'm true to my word. After that, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I need one of those Leo 2.0 hats immediately. That's amazing.
Well,
So,
kind words. Thank you.
so the tipping point for you for the Leo 2.0 was Joe Biden. It wasn't
Oh yes.
anything before that.
No, it was Joe Biden. If I was to tell you otherwise, I would be disingenuous. I mean, I
Okay.
was just floored when he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I'm a civil rights attorney.
Right.
The fundamental core of a civil rights attorney is equality and fairness. You fight against that type of rhetoric if it came from someone else saying, "Hey, if you ain't white if you don't vote for me." I mean, it's just a crazy comment that insults everything what America stands for.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
So I just find it amazing.
I find it amazing too. What are your thoughts on these Democratic leaders just allowing just complete unrest in their streets and pretending like it's okay, and the cops, it's all the cops' fault. It's not my fault. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. That's another one of those major reasons. I am shocked that Democratic mayors in Portland, Seattle,
Yeah.
Chicago, LA,
Yes.
they're looking the other way and they're not addressing the issue. These Democratic mayors have allowed Black Lives Matter and Antifa extremist groups to hijack their cities, and they're not speaking out against it.
Yeah.
CNN, MSNBC won't cover it. And you know what the game plan is? We have to ignore it because if we do anything about it, we are agreeing with Trump because Trump is the law and order guy. So they have to ignore it. And they're allowing the cities to burn. And you know what? The insult about all of this is the Democrats will say, oh, this is systemic discrimination. Eric, how can you have systemic discrimination in black cities with black mayors, black police
Right.
officers, black police chiefs? You got people of color running these cities, and that's the Democratic playbook. Race
Right.
pandering, race
Right.
pandering all the time. It's crazy, totally insulting.
I agree with you. I mean, I saw it for a long time with even Obama and stuff like that. I just I mean, I had a lot of black friends growing up, and they were voting for him just based on because they felt like they had to, not
Yeah,
because. And I always push them like, why? I mean, why do you feel like you have to? Can't you think it for yourself? Like, what do you like? I don't know. I just have to vote. This is who I'm told to vote for, and I can understand that. There's some kind of push in my society or my culture where it's just like, hey, you're a white Christian male, you're voting Republican no matter what. But I just don't. I don't
I agree.
understand with that. Yeah, that would just
Yeah,
be fuss.
it is. It's frustrating, and you have to look at the candidate. You can't have that type of mindset where you're just voting out of routine or out of habit. You got to look for results, and you have to look at the individual. And I just said to myself, it was time. And then, with the Joe Biden situation, it gave me a chance to reflect on all the things that were going on within the Democratic Party. And I just said, it's gone. It's just moved too far left.
Okay. Leo, I know you're a busy man. I thank you so much for being on this program. Any last words to say to my viewers coming for this upcoming election?
Well, I'll tell you right now, to your viewers, you have all your viewers have to get out and tell others that they have to vote. And
Yeah.
really, if they say I got to vote Democrat, well, what's the argument to vote for a Democrat?
Right.
And just disliking Trump is not enough. Trump,
Right.
you asked me the same question. Trump has accomplished a lot. Set
Mm-hmm.
aside the personality difference, but letting the Democrats vote, getting the Democrats in office is horrible. A
Right.
horrible choice.
Right. No,
So
I agree.
I
I mean,
appreciate it.
I don't look for my presidents to be a moral stand-up character for me. I look for what their faiths are, what their views, what they're going to accomplish, and stuff like that. So I agree. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Leo. I appreciate you, man.
I
Thank
know
you.
you do, and I thank you very much for inviting me, and look forward to meeting you again. Talk to you
Hey,
later.
I would love to. Thank you, Leo. Have a good day,
Take care.
sir.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.